Fabulous. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on another one of our series chats with Let's Talk About Cancer. We want to welcome Louisa Guise as a cancer survivor. She is here with us, and she is going to also talk about the American Cancer Society fundraiser that she's a part of, and we're going to be able to gain more perspective and understanding of her experience, and we're very fortunate to have her here today. So thank you, Louisa, again for being with us and taking the time out of your Tuesday afternoon to talk about cancer with us.
You're welcome.
So let's just dive in with the first series of questions. So Louisa, what type of cancer were you diagnosed with, and when did you receive your diagnosis?
So I received my diagnosis at what probably was maybe the worst time you could kind of think of in recent history. I went to the emergency room for a fever that I had, thinking it might have been COVID, and that was March 17th, the day everything closed down. And they did an ultrasound and mentioned that it might be cancer, and I got the cancer diagnosis on March 24th. Found out that it was lysomyosarcoma, something like that. It was LMS, I think, is the initials. It's a cancer of the uterus. I found that out on March 24th. And well, I can tell more of the story if you'd like at this point.
Absolutely, please, if you're willing to.
Sure. Starting at the beginning, I had been bleeding on and off, right, heavily since about November. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was part of menopause. And because my gynecologist had retired, I couldn't get an appointment with a gynecologist for till April. And this was, I started back in November, December, trying to find one. Mm-hmm. And so it started bleeding again in early March. And then I got a cough and a fever. And I thought, well, maybe this is COVID. So I went to the emergency room to see if I could get tested for COVID. As I said, that was March 17th. And they saw that my heart was, going very fast, and they thought there was something else going on. So, they did an ultrasound, and they saw that there was something, happening with my uterus. So they told me it might be cancer. So I went to, they got me an appointment with a gynecologist. Or actually they facilitated it. And so they were able to see that, yes, it was indeed, and it was probably this LMS stuff. And so but first, before I could go see an oncologist, I had to prove that I didn't have COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And just try, at that time, just try and get a test for COVID, right? It took me about a week to try and get a test. Finally got one at the emergency room at TMC. And they were able, after about 5 days of waiting, after I got the test, to say, no, it wasn't COVID, so I could get my appointment with the oncologist, who's wonderful. I highly recommend him. His name is Dr. Busima. And he told me, I needed to have a hysterectomy. And so I had a hysterectomy on April 6th. And they found that they were able to get everything. He said that they were able to get everything, but with this form of cancer, there's a 1 in 3 chance of it coming back. And if it comes back, there's not much. I mean, depending on how it comes back, but if it comes back into the lungs or into the liver, there's really not much they could do. And then he talked about the idea of palliative care, which I hate that term.
Wow.
So that's the story.
So it's certainly a whirlwind of events. I can only imagine how that experience must have been for you.
Yeah, but in a way I was lucky, because actually if it hadn't been for the whole COVID thing, I probably would have waited for my gynecologist appointment and, not gone to the doctor and not found out sooner, and maybe it would have been worse. So in a way I was lucky. Oh
my goodness, absolutely. And you previously mentioned you also underwent surgery. So out of curiosity, there might be many many people with a diagnosis, with a cancer diagnosis, that might be a little unsure about the cancer surgery and what that would precede. So in your recent experience, how was this like for you? Was it difficult, the care after? Was it challenging to decide that you wanted to do that immediately?
Oh, there was no question about wanting to do it immediately. For one thing, I mean, for me, I'm older, right? I'm 59 years old. I have two kids already, and I obviously wasn't going to have any more. So there was no question. I would always rather live than not live. So it wasn't a question of whether, it was a question of when. And again, it was, partly because of the COVID thing and worrying about being able to do it. The issue I had with the surgery, and the TMC was wonderful. I had no problem with the actual surgery. The wound did get infected, and so they had to leave it open. So it took about 6 weeks for that to heal. I had this thing called a wound vac. There was like a vacuum cleaner, like a suction thing that kind of tries to close the wound, and that worked, wonderfully. And I had a visiting nurse who was great, and she took care of me. And so it was painful, but it was necessary, and we got over it.
Right. Oh my goodness, that sounds painful.
Well, it was, especially since there was some, it's called reflective nerve pain. So I was having this real pain that is like, if you've ever had nerve pain, it really hurts. And that was the worst of it, because it took about 3 days for it to go away. Once I got to see Dr. Busima, he gave me some medicine for that, and it went away, but geez, that hurt.
Oh my goodness. And now, if everyone's experience is different from communities that I've spoken to that have had a diagnosis. So I'm curious, when did you want your family close, and when did you want them to give you some space during this time?
I always want my family close. My daughter goes to the U of A. She's actually going to be a senior. She's studying physiology. I didn't want her close only because of the COVID thing, and I didn't want to have to deal with that as well. But my son still lives at home with my husband. I want them close. What I haven't done really is been real honest with my kids about kind of the long-term prognosis, that whole 1 in 3 chance of it coming back, because I don't want them to worry. But other than that, I mean, just having them around, I always want to have my family around.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember prior to COVID, when I was able to go with community members, I would hear many stories from family members mentioning to me that they often felt that their loved one just wanted complete space. Yeah, after their diagnosis, and wanted to have some time to reflect in that sense. And I found it curious, because everyone's experience is different. But given your situation, Louisa, with COVID and the time and everything just being so rapid, how that would transition for you?
Yeah. So I'm normally an optimistic person. Having my family around and being able to joke around kind of made it so that I could go outside of my own head. But I think the hard part was more for them than for me, right? Because not knowing how to behave around me and what I wanted, right? Like, they want to make me feel better, and I don't want to have, and then so there's that added burden of, okay, now I don't want them to feel bad, that they don't know how to make me feel better.
Right.
But yeah, but I'd much rather have them there. And as I said, like, my husband and I, once I felt up for walking, we'd go for walks, and every once in a while we'd be talking, and this is, I think, one of your later questions, but every once in a while we'd be talking, and I'd find myself talking about something in the future, and it was like, wait a minute, I don't want to talk about this. So I'd have to take a step back. That's when I do take a step back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And along those lines, what words, what communication did you want to hear most from your loved ones? Since you do mention you're very family oriented, what words really helped you navigate this experience?
Well, having my son tell me that he loves me, I mean, it's like, I know he loves me, right? But how often does an 18-year-old tell his mother that, right? Um, so that helped. Again, I don't think he realizes the extent of, and it probably is, it may not come back, right? In which case there is no extent. But uh, that helps the most. And also having my husband say, look, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. You know,
Right.
that
Absolutely.
helps.
And Louisa, as we all know, cancer puts your whole life on hold with a diagnosis. So, do you remember a specific moment in the past couple months when you were just overly struck by this
Mm-hmm.
realization?
Oh yeah. So, one of the things that my husband and I really love to do is to plan vacations, plan things that we're going to do next year or the year after. And we actually do those things, right? It's like, we plan it and then it happens. And so there were two things. There's been a vacation that I've wanted to take for many years that we were going to do next year. Um, And so talking about that, we're still planning on doing it next year, right? But it's just planning it. It's hard to talk about planning something that happens next year when there may not be a next year, right? So that was hard. Also, um, I was going to take my pension. So I retired. I'm a retired engineer. I worked at Raytheon for like 35 years. But I retired early so that I could teach ballroom dancing, right? And I was not going to take my pension until I turned 60. No, that's next year. So I decided to take my pension this year, so at least I can enjoy it. So again, it was like, this thing did totally changed our plans and totally changed the way I think about planning things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And um, and with the uncertainty that we're certainly living through, it's definitely for a lot of us that's that's the same sentiment.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, everybody's life's on hold right now, right?
right, right. And taking like you mentioned, of appreciating the moments with our loved ones and holding them a little tighter, um, certainly throughout these past couple of months.
Yeah. So in a way, I don't know, the isolation, the quarantine has been good. Getting to spend more time with my son. I don't get to spend as much with my daughter, but we do FaceTime, and she does come over sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So, what helped you keep your spirits up and grant you the support you needed during this period? Was it continuing to dance as your ballroom dancer? Was that your main form of clarity through all this that keep your spirits up?
Yeah, I mean, there were, returning to life as normal. Um, Going back to ballroom dancing helps because it's physical, right? It's a place of just pure fun. Um, Also, we talked about this fundraiser that I'm doing. Um, I'm a believer in taking bad things that happen and trying to make good out of it.
Mhm.
So, for example, when we had a child before my first daughter, and she ended up, dying from a heart defect. So right after that, I did a fundraiser for the Boston Children's Heart Foundation, which is where she was in Boston Children's Hospital, and we raised about $2,000, and it really helped me. So I decided to do something like that for this as well. So I decided to to organize a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society. Sorry, that it's going to be something like Dancing with the Stars, except without the competitive aspect of it. We're looking for 6 or so medical personnel or cancer researchers or anybody who would be interested in learning a routine, right? It's sponsored by me and also our dance studio, right? So we'll give people 10 dance lessons to learn this routine that they're going to perform in the show. But I also wanted to give an opportunity for other people who are maybe in a similar situation as me I wouldn't call myself a survivor because I haven't survived yet. um, but to be able to try and do something impactful, right? And that'll help others. So I also wanted to do something where we could have maybe people who are in a cancer kind of situation be part of the committee organizing this thing and helping out with it. Because to me, that's the thing that most takes my mind off of worrying, right? Or, you know, is doing something positive.
Right.
So that's the main thing I've been doing is organizing the fundraiser, or trying to, taking dance lessons and binge watching lots of TV.
Oh, I can attest to watching a lot of shows on my weekends. But man, what a wonderful way to devote your kind-hearted energy to helping others, even though you may also be experiencing such a difficult and challenging time yourself and with your families. I commend you.
Well,
Really.
it's selfish. It makes me feel better. So, but I guess it's my plea to the people who are listening, maybe, is if anybody wants to participate or help out, you know, it's going to be May 15th, 2021. So hopefully COVID will be done.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it better be, right? So yeah, so you know, I welcome anybody's participation. If they, you know, send me an email or call me, or I think Gabrielle, you have my Gabby, you have my information.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to share our contact information and towards the end of our chat in case anyone wants to communicate with us. So I'll certainly be posting that up in a moment. Um, so Louisa, you mentioned there were a lot of emotions, right, during your experience with your diagnosis. So I'm curious to know, um, did you face any obstacles during the past couple weeks for your treatment? Was there any challenges that you did face when you would visit your physician and doctor and you would go to your appointments?
Well, I mean, so fortunately I didn't have to go through chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not an obstacle that I had to face. You know, the biggest obstacle was trying to get appointments, especially when the thing was infected and very painful. You know, cancer doctors are really busy, and especially Dr. Busima, who uh, who takes the time to talk to his patients, which is wonderful. But then you spend a lot of time waiting in the waiting room for your appointment, and especially now, given the COVID situation, we had to do it. You have to be by yourself, right? Unless you're somebody who needs somebody to come with you, because they can't let family members come in. So that was the hardest part, and just dealing with the infection. But you know, but the surgery was successful, so it wasn't, you know, and the treatment afterwards, other than the infection, was
Mm-hmm.
not pleasant, but you
Right.
know, got through it.
Right. And did you by chance did you by chance join a virtual support group? Did you have the opportunity to maybe speak with other individuals about their experience
So,
at your journey?
yeah, my neighbor across the street had, you know, she had a different form of cancer, but it was a similar situation where if it comes back, it's not a good prognosis. And so she and I have been talking. We go for walks. Um, she's actually a professor at the U of A. But to me, it's harder, actually, I think, to dwell on it. You know, it's not that I'm ignoring it, but it's harder for me to talk about it than to say, look, it's back there and I'm just going to not think about it because I can't control it anyway. Right. So no, I have not actually tried to join any support groups because I'm afraid that if I did that, it would cause me to dwell on it too much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that you do have a communication with your neighbor. That's someone that can understand your situation
Yeah.
and what you went through. Um, so, Louisa, are you willing to share with us where you are now with your journey with cancer? How how has this played off in the past couple months?
Well, I mean, it's only been a few months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have an appointment with my doctor in August, and we're going to try, he's going to decide then whether or not to do a scan. Um, the scans are going to be periodic. Hopefully they come back negative. But that's it. So at the moment, there's not much going on with that. If it comes back positive, I mean, I know he said that there's not a lot that they can do, especially if it goes to the lungs or the liver. But my intention is, since my philosophy on life is it's always better to be alive than not. If there are any, I would be willing to go through chemo. I'd be willing to do any kind of experimental kinds of things, because I'm not going to give up on this. I want to see my kids have kids, So.
Yeah, yeah. And along those lines, what would you tell a person that has just been diagnosed or just been learned about their own cancer diagnosis?
Well, to face it, right? To do what they can to get through it. Depends on the person. I mean, some people would benefit from, joining a group. I happen to have a support network of my own that makes me feel okay, right? Mm-hmm. But everybody needs to have something that they can get out of their own way, get out of their own head, right? And not just sit and dwell on, oh my goodness, I've got cancer and it's the end of my life, right?
Right.
So that's what I'd say. I mean, not everybody can do that or wants to do that, but that would be my advice. And just, talk about it, or do whatever it is that makes you feel better to do. Like me, it makes me feel better to do something positive. I'm doing that. Find out the thing that'll help you get through it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that can go hand in hand with caregivers too, to be there, to be the supportive the supportive light in this familial setting and everything that moves ahead with the experience, the diagnosis.
Yeah. My husband's been great. I mean, he's very supportive of me doing this fundraiser. I mean, it's taking out of our family's finances to do it, but but he's very supportive of me and wanting me to do it.
Yeah. And because we bring it up again, I do want to speak further on your amazing fundraiser. You did mention it previously, and I'm trying to move through my next slide, but I can't do it right now. So I'm gonna try to go through my next screen, and I'm not sure why I'm having technical difficulties here, but for the time being, so for those joining us, Louisa, would you mind explaining again this incredible fundraiser that you're organizing and that you've dedicated all of your energy to in the past couple of weeks? I know we're very excited to help promote this and help raise awareness of everything that you're doing.
Okay, so it's going to be May 15th, 2021, so we've got a little bit of time. It's going to be a dinner, dance, and show. It's good. It's at the Lowe's Montana Canyon in the Kiva Ballroom. We're going to have silent auctions as well as a live auction. I'm excited. I just found out that Diana Medeiros is volunteering, is donating a canvas, so I'm excited about that. The dinner, as I said, we're going to have basically two ways of participating in the actual event for people who are attending, right? If they want to do the dinner and the dancing and the show, it's going to be one price. It's going to be $150 a ticket, which is a lot of money for a lot of people. And then I'm also going to have another way of people coming in and supporting it, where it's going to be $50 a ticket, where they can just come and watch the show and participate in the silent auction and the auction and the dancing. We're going to have a dance lesson. It's going to be a beginner dance lesson. Haven't decided what we're going to teach yet, but and then and then the show is going to be, as I said, I'd like to find 5 or 6 doctors, nurses, researchers, anybody involved with, especially cancer, that would like to be in the show. You don't have to know how to dance. We'll teach you. And we've done that before. I know we did something like this for the school that the studio owner, his kids go to, and we did a fundraiser for them, which was a Dancing with the Stars thing. So we know we can teach people who've never danced before to do these routines. And we'll give them 10 free lessons to learn their routine with the instructor. And so the show will be that. Plus, I'm also looking for people to be in a group number, right? Kind of like a flash mob kind of thing. So that could be anybody. Yeah. The theme of the fundraiser is called Living Life to the Fullest. We're only going to have, like all the songs are going to be positive. We're not going to have any sad, melancholy kinds of things. It's all going to be a positive thing. And I'm looking for people who would like to participate in organizing it, because there's a lot of effort, right, to do that. I mean, I can do it by myself or with people in the studio, but I'd really love it if other people would participate and help see the kind of the joy in doing something that's raising money for a cause, right? That's a good cause that's related. So again, you see my contact information. Please feel free to contact me at that email if you want to participate in any way.
Oh, this is so exciting, and we're really looking forward to collaborating with you and learning more how we all can help you in your efforts. But this was the screen I certainly felt most important to share, so we can get the word out of your event. And I can't thank you enough for having such a wonderful idea to continue to help others. That's just wonderful.
Well, it's also fun, so.
Yeah. And I'm curious, Louisa, have you been a ballroom dancer for many years? Is this a hobby you've picked up?
It's a hobby that I've been doing for about 35 years.
Oh,
So.
just a casual 30-year hobby.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I was an engineer for 35 years, and all the time I was doing that, I was ballroom dancing.
Wow. So can I ask what ignited this passion for ballroom?
Well, when I started, I was young and single. I was in my mid-20s, and I was fairly shy, looking for a way to meet people. I happened to choose the one thing that's probably more female dominated than anything else in the world, but that's what I started with. I started doing swing dancing, and I loved it. If you've ever done anything that's got a combination of physical, so you get the physical high, you get the social interaction, you get the mental engagement, right? Because when you're learning it, you have to think about it and remember steps and things like that. It's just like the ultimate good exercise.
Yeah, no kidding. It is not an easy task. So I previously had taken a short little introductory class of ballroom, and oh my goodness, I admire all of these fast steps and the energy, and
Yeah.
it's incredible. It's really, really incredible.
Yeah, well, actually, so our co-owner, the lady who's married to the guy who owns the studio, she actually is the coach for the U of A Ballroom Club.
Oh wow!
So here's a commercial for the U of A Ballroom Club plus
Right?
my daughter. But yeah, so anyway, I recommend everybody out there check it out if you're part of the U of A community.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is just really, really fantastic. And I want to be mindful of your time, because for those joining us, Louisa actually does virtual ballroom dance classes, and her schedule is quite busy, filled up with teaching and helping others with their own lessons. So
I'm not so busy these days because of COVID. So here's my commercial. It's called Dream Dance. That's our studio, and you can we do Zoom lessons. So
yeah. Well, I can't wait till we can all get back into a class. and be with each other again to dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in that case, I just want to close off by thanking you again, Louisa. This has been so wonderful, and on your part, and to be so honest about your experience. I really I thank you, and I appreciate you being with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to, get the word out about the fundraiser.
Thank you so much, Louisa. So I just turned my camera on because I did have a question, but you answered it right there with the Zoom lessons. I was going to say, if anyone is interested in maybe reaching out and signing up for a Zoom lesson, maybe would that also be a way to contribute to the fundraiser?
Probably not the fundraiser.
Or is that separate?
But it's separate, but
okay.
The joy of, but it does help bring the joy of dancing to people, right? Especially at a time when everybody is closed
Absolutely. in. Yeah, I think it would be impossible to be in a bad mood while you're going through all the joyful movement. Yeah.
I have a couple who are my students who are snowbirds, and they just last couple of weeks ago went back to Illinois, but they're still taking lessons. They don't need a lot of room for some of the dances like swing or things like that, or salsa.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you are going to be making a website for your event.
Yep.
Is there a link that maybe we can share for you, or?
Sure. I can send it. I can send it to Gabby. I can send it.
Okay, perfect.
It's a work in progress still, but I can send the link.
Excellent. And for the folks that were joining us, listening to the whole presentation here, if you have any ideas or someone that maybe we can reach out to try to convince to be dance extraordinaire ambassador for the American Cancer Society, it's one way to do all these great things, and in the spirit of joy and of keeping things in a positive light. And that's what it's all about. So I want to thank you so much, Louisa. I wish I could reach out and give you a big virtual hug.
Virtual hugs all around.
Yes, that's such a wonderful story, so powerful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Likewise, Louisa, we look forward to getting the word out and continue our collaboration for the wonderful event. And again, thank you for your time and for everyone joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.